Do you remember Maman, Merceau's mother? He had gone for the funeral. The Stranger, this work by Albert Camus. At the core of it is this idea of human freedoms. On the one hand, we long to break free, this need for emancipation, absolute freedom, and nothing seems to be holding you back in any way. Except, in most of our cases, what stands in our way is reality, the face of hegemon. And because this topic is so abstract, so unique, so individual in terms of our experience, where it registers, one could say trying to explore it would be like one continuous journey, never ending. I should say, something from deep inside me urges to make clear. I come to attempting these explorations with celebration, with happiness, not melancholy. This idea of how far we've come as a civilization, how we've learned to understand each other, communicate. I sometimes think of my grandfathers, the thoughts that occupied their mind when they were relaxed, contemplating the world, their life in it. Didn't really get to know them on an individual basis. And so when you come across a guy like Camus, who lived around the time that they did, and you're favorably disposed to his thoughts, a kinship seems to develop. And funnily enough, there's no surprise here. It seems to be a reoccurring theme. I've heard Camus scholars, even fans, they say things like, oh, my love for Camus, the use of the subjunctive, this filial affection. Wait, are you saying Camus is like a grandfather to you? Oh, never mind. Let's talk about Maman. She was actually quite happy in the home. She had settled well. And I say that because she had found love. And we find out at the funeral scene that there's this one old man. He is, inconsolable. He's in despair because his friend had passed away and he wouldn't leave the side of the body. And Merceau, for the first time, realizes that they were pretty close. In fact, some of the other residents used to tease these two. They used to walk to the village square hand in hand. And so Merceau learns about this and is, in deep thought with a smile on his face. In this late stage of her life, Maman was ready for a new beginning. So once again, we see here Camus biographing his life, fictionalizing the memory of his childhood. Camus had great love, adoration, respect for Maman. He remembers her as a person having natural grace and style. But one can imagine you're just starting off in your family life. A few months after your second kid is born, war breaks out. You get called into service. The husband is killed in action. He was 29. Mama is left to take on the reins. And so to bring up the children, she commits herself to hard labor day after day. And whatever money she made, she'd come and hand it to her mother, who was looking after the children. Grandma, she was a bit of a tyrant. Camus doesn't have too much good to say about her in terms of memories. I think it was because he used to get beaten on a regular basis. She had this militant style of discipline. Of course, there was tears, crying, and sometimes these beatings would happen in the presence of Maman, who would suffer in silence watching her kids. And sometimes when it got too much, she would say, don't hit them on the head. But mostly otherwise, she'd be quiet because Grandma was in charge. And so this was Maman's life. Unhappy? Well, Camus would say he'd never see her complain. And so when we hear of Merceau in the story, you know, moving his mom to a home, she may have had some settling in issues initially, but after a couple of months, you couldn't get her out of there, even if you tried. She seemed happy. I guess you could have said she had become comfortably numb to the outside world. Yes, I did attempt to sing that part out loud, you know, a failed attempt. The child has grown, the dream is gone, and I have become comfortably numb.